But now, without further ado, Rob and Janecka. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. So, I'm really glad you're here because we've got to do some fun projects together. But
yes.
Before we get into that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And tell me about your family.
Well, I was born and raised here in Victoria, out in Mission Valley. I am the oldest of 6 children. So, they say opposites attract. I married the baby of 8. So I have, just the homegrown family, out in the country raising animals for 4-H and having a garden in the summertime, going to church every Sunday, praying before meals, having the typical American family who sits down for dinner together. My dad worked at Union Carbide and retired from Dow. My sister Tracy is in the audience.
Hi, Tracy.
And they did a fabulous job raising us, as well as the Janecka family raising 8 kids. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law, Jerry, Janecka, Joseph, and Decatur Joseph are in the audience as well. One of the 8 decided to come. One of the 6 decided to come.
Your odds are great. If you roll the dice, one will show up.
But anyway, we have a very close and loving family on both sides, so you can't go anywhere without running into a Janecka. I've learned throughout the last 28 years. So, as well as a Laced family, everybody knows that my dad is involved with the Farm and Ranch show and the Victoria Livestock show. So that is where if you go in for a colonoscopy, you're going to run into my mom, Joy Laced at Citizens. So there you go. That's something to look forward to.
Say, hey, I know your daughter.
She gets that a lot. She's like, we're friends with Robin, or we're friends with Tracy. It's just, it's a very small world.
But isn't that really special? That's something I really love about our community is that connectivity, right? Knowing people.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, especially walking around downtown sometimes. But I love it. I love that you can call somebody and they know you, or you go to the doctor and you know somebody.
Yes.
And it makes it really a special experience being
Exactly.
in Victoria. And so growing up with all of that family and all those siblings, what was that like?
It gave me the foundation of my future, of course. I went to St. Joe, and I went through the generations where our teachers said, you have to go to college, you have to go to college. You're not going to be anything unless you go to college. And so that was in my head, but my parents never said that. My parents were busy raising the rest of the 5 kids behind me. So I took out the scholarship applications on my own through 4-H and through what St. Joe offered us. And I went to Victoria College. So
Woo!
That was my college experience, but I met the love of my life and married Richard, and I knew deep down that I wanted to be a mother. That was my calling. And so I think that being the big sister of 6 kids gave me that calling, and so that's what I feel today.
I love it. And you are an amazing mom. So
just,
I'll say you are. I know you are. And so having that calling to be a mom, and you went to Victoria College. So besides being a mom, because that is the biggest full-time job of all, what was your real first job that you had?
I had the greatest opportunity to work for Dr. Campbell. If y'all remember Dr. Campbell, the heart specialist in Victoria. And I just babysat his kids and did a little secretary stuff in his office. But I kind of feel like I have the Forrest Gump blessing, because everything I did led to something else. And I worked for Dr. Campbell, and that turned into a full-time job. And I was very, very blessed at, retaining that job when it merged into Cardiovascular Associates. And I got to work with all the doctors. I even worked with Dr. Parikh, who is still practicing here. And he taught me how to do, the little See, I just went blank. But anyway, I got to do echocardiograms. I did that. I'm like, I'm not a nurse or anything, but sure. So I ran the echocardiograms and did a lot of billing. That's where I ended up doing that. But yeah, that was my first real job. I had benefits. I had a 401k. I was with them for 6 years.
Wow, and I love that Forrest Gump analogy that you use, because I've never heard it put that way, but it's so true. It leads you to something else. I'm always Forrest Gumping it, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, girl,
all
we're
of us are
like that.
Yeah. And so from having that job and being a mother and doing all things, how did it lead you into what you're doing now?
Well, of course, my husband has a lot to do with that. He's always been self-driven, self-motivated. He's always been independent in his career. Before he started his own businesses, he worked for High Pro Audio. He actually helped start the business with High Pro here in Victoria and in El Campo. And then it just evolved into, you can't just stay in one place. He was young. So he opened Audio Visions, and this was the 90s. And he's building car stereos and neon. That
was the thing. I remember the High Pro Audio stickers on everybody's cars. And I remember all the neons, the car clubs. I was here during that time, I remember.
Was installed in all of those boxes.
The big boxes.
Yes, it's crazy how things have changed. So Richard literally learned how to blow neon glass because it was such a need for these car stereo boxes, and there was only one elderly gentleman in town to do that. Otherwise, you'd go to San Antonio, Houston to get this done, and it takes so much time and waiting on it. So this man taught Richard just over his shoulder, let him learn over his shoulder, taught him how to do this. And so that's what began our business. Our first business name was Totally Neon. So that gave you the wrong impression that we only did neon. So he quickly changed the name to SignCrafters in 1995.
That's amazing. I love how he took what he was doing, and then he also Forrest Gumped it and evolved.
Exactly.
And learned a trade and a skill that no one else was really doing, and then implemented it and grew from there. Right. And so tell me a little bit about your position there and what you do. And I heard also you make some things in-house, right? Oh yeah,
girl. Okay, so we started our business with just the neon plant. And Richard was fortunate enough to, my dad let him put a little neon station in our home garage out in the country, because the garage is huge. So he had a little neon station there. I would sit there and watch him bend the neon. And guess who has the very first neon sculpture? This lady, woo! She has it hanging in her apartment now, and she had it hanging in Taqueria, Victoria for years and years. I
love it.
She has the little chili pepper that Richard first built, the very first sculpture that he built. And we still have the same neon plant right now, and it's kind of, we're remodeling like all the time at the shop. So right now we don't have it functional, but we still take on neon repairs and stuff like that. That's a very small part of our business, but it's what got us started. The very first job we had was for DTAR Hospital, and it was the Rogers Pharmacy right there at DTAR on Rio Grande. And it was a full renovation of the neon. They wanted it retro. They added all the stainless mirrored kind of accessories to the columns, and they picked out all of this exotic neon colors to build the neon accents all around that building. And we got to restore the big RX on the top of the rooftop. And you can go to our Facebook page, and we have a picture of Richard holding our son Colin in 1996. So he was only 1 year old. And they're standing in front of the big RX. And right now, Colin's in San Antonio continuing his education, but he's working at a sign shop. So little Colin, 26 and a half years later, is still working in signs.
So he carried it on with him. Do you think he'll ever come back here and work with you guys?
No. No. I'm very blessed that my boys have found their calling. So Colin went back he went to work during COVID at Keller Signs in San Antonio because he was going to UTSA. And it was a very good opportunity for him. And he's kind of gotten to the point where he's really burnt out on it. I mean, think about it. I had them up there in diapers.
That's how it is as a business owner, right? When you own a
Yes.
business, your kids are usually there with you because it's not an 8 to 5. It's
Exactly.
24/7.
Exactly.
Somebody asked the other day, I remember when we had one of our speakers at our Think Big Festival, the lady that started Beats headphones. They were like, well, how did you find the balance, being a mom? And she said, as a business owner, if you think there's balance, you should not start your own business. But I think the thing is that you can manage it, right? And you can figure out a flow that works for you. And I'm curious for you, have you found a flow that is working for you? Because you seem to be able to do a lot of different things and do it really gracefully.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Every day is a challenge, every day. But raising the kids, I was very blessed to be able to take them to work with me. We had the playpen, we had, bassinet, whatever. And I did have daycare for Colin up until he was 5 or 6 years old because I did work for the doctors. But then they were at the shop. And then if you had to pick up fast food on the way home, you just had to pick up fast food, we have deadlines just like any other business. You have, the kids need to eat. Okay, well, we'll write down right next to moo-moos, what do you think they're gonna eat? So we ate a lot of moo-moos back then, but, my kids know that that's not healthy, so. It's hard to balance. It's hard to balance, and they were all part of it as we grew and evolved. We were in a little bitty shop, and then we took them across the street and moved into the shop we are in now. And they were taking the baby steps with us. I love it. I mean, I can say that I had a 16-year-old being able to operate our crane truck, where
That's
most
really cool.
kids don't even know how to pick up a screwdriver, So I feel that our business and being with us has really given them tools for their future as well.
And speaking about tools for their future, let's talk about the project that we were working on. So she does a lot to give back to the community. She's very humble about that, but she's always thinking about others and trying to facilitate things to give back. And I remember when you contacted me, you're like, hey, I want to do something to capture these kids and, the youth and what they're doing and something different. So tell them a little bit about what we worked on.
Exactly. So I am the publicity chair for the South Texas Farm and Ranch Show as well as the Victoria Livestock Show. But we were losing interest in the agricultural mechanics of the Victoria Livestock Show. So I wanted to bridge the gap between the Farm and Ranch Show to the Livestock Show. The Farm and Ranch Show is in the fall, the Livestock Show is in the spring, and the Farm and Ranch Show does educational seminars. And it's mostly geared for adults who need credits and CEUs for having their pesticide license, yada, yada, yada. And it's well attended. I mean, it's the biggest farm and ranch show in the South. And we used to have a program for the grade school kids who they would come, it's called Path to the Plate. So these little kindergarten, first grade, second grade, whatever, they would come and they would tour the farm and ranch show and see a cow get milked or, figure out farm to table process. That kind of, it played its part, but it was time for a change. And we met together and created
From soil to space, feeding the future.
Yes, Carissa's named it From Soil to Space, Feeding the Future. And we invited high school students to attend seminars for those 2 days while the adults are doing their seminars. And of course, there's a trade show involved where, just like Murdoch's, who we saw just outside, those types of businesses book booths in the community center for businesses and individuals to network and get engaged and find resources. There are banks, there are credit unions, there are feed stores and agricultural tractor suppliers, anything in there. So we invited these high school students to be part of this, and we only had that this past year in 2022. So this year we are gearing up. We are going to make it bigger and better. We invite the local high school students to sign up to come, and their counselors or ag teachers actually choose who's going to be able to attend, because there's limited space in that little hall, but we want the cream of the crop to hear these speeches. And last year we had some great speakers. We had Dr. Eater. He's a drone pilot. So he had a drone that goes and does crop inspections. And it saves so much. You don't have to have a tractor out there destroying the field. You have a drone just going out there, doing a little peeky poo, and you can document that by photography, and all of this data is just amazing.
It was mind-blowing. You could tell it blew the kids' mind. Mine, too. I learned a lot. It can predict the rainfall patterns, kind of droughts, all kinds of different things, and he had so many different drones. And I was like, you get paid to fly these things and travel and do all this? And so it was about capturing kids to think about agriculture and having a career, because a lot of them think it's sows and plows and that's it. And some of them don't want to raise animals, or they don't want to take over their family's farm because they're thinking of the old ways of things. But they have to realize that we need a lot of people working in that industry because we've all got to eat, right? And so From Soil to Space, Feeding the Future, it's explaining to them too as well about we are going to have things in space. They're doing things in space too. So whatever we grow down here, we have to learn to grow up there. But we also have to focus on doing things here, innovative, and things that maybe they'll enjoy more. So we also talked about robotic technologies. We had Casey come. He's a student that went to UHV, and he was speaking about robotics and how that works. And then we also had different people talking about cybersecurity, and there's all these fields that people don't realize. Like John Deere, they have more engineers than anyone else, basically. So you can work in ag. It might just look different than maybe you think it does. So it's about...
you don't always have to put on your overalls
and exactly.
cowboy boots to go out and take care of a crop. So this was very innovative and very well needed. It was very needed to segue into grabbing the high schoolers' attention and being part of those kind of volunteer organizations. And I'm the marketing and publicity, but I can reach out, and you and I can work together and the rest of the community to grab whatever we need for our future, So I'm very blessed to be able to have a job, a business that gives me the time and the talent and the tools to be part of the Farm and Ranch show and the livestock show.
Well, and I think it's that passion that shines through you, and I want to thank you for that, because not everybody has that foresight to see something dwindling. A lot of people will just stay on the path because it's always been that way. And you said, no, I want to do something different. I need to capture these kids. I don't want to lose them in our community, especially when we have so much talent and they could have future careers in this. But it's about kind of pivoting and doing something new. So I applaud you so much for that, because these kids, you always wonder, right? Did this resonate with them? Was it just people talking? They didn't take anything away. And a lot of times you never get those answers. And I will tell you, I spoke at the Jackson County Chamber banquet, and this girl comes running up to me and hugs me, and her mom's like, oh my gosh, you're the one that did that. And I was like, yeah, Robin Janecka came up with the idea. And I told her all about it. And she goes, she will not stop talking about it nonstop, these drones and soil to space. And she was so excited because her passion is like space and agriculture, but she didn't think there was anything around here, anyone to listen to her. And then I had several other parents contact me through Facebook Messenger. And so you wonder if these things resonate with the kids that you're trying to reach, right? Because as adults, we think we're making things and we're like, well, maybe they'll like it. But that's what was so neat, is that actually getting that experience to know, wow, that made such an impact.
Good.
And
good.
so it does matter, and you create things that do matter. And, you know, even when I drive around town, I'm always like, oh, there's one of her signs. How does that feel when you drive and you see your hard work? Because you guys work so hard.
That is, you know, not everybody can say, hey, I have a job where I can actually see what I've made. Not everybody can say that. I mean, Tracy, when you draw blood, I mean, or when your technicians draw blood and you're like driving around town, you can't say, oh, I drew blood on that person. But I mean, this is very, very rewarding. I mean, there are so many businesses and individuals that we have met and worked with throughout the community that have amazing and beautiful signs because of us, and we do build in-house. We are the only local sign shop that has a full service fabrication shop. We have everything from a brand new CNC mill. We went to Vegas in October and we bought a multicam router. And it only came with 5 tools, but Richard added another 5. So we have a 10-tool CNC mill. So we router cut everything from aluminum and acrylic and plastics and wood, just any size, any shape, and we produce, let me see, one of the biggest signs we've built is the Victoria Advocate. If you can see the top of one of Connor Plaza, we built that. It's just like a beacon. Tony's here. Tony worked there. He takes lots of pictures and sent them to me.
How did you get that up there?
I
stare at that.
There's a video on our website. There's a video. My brother-in-law, Russell, actually put together a drone video of us installing that sign. Go to our website. You can watch a little 1.5-minute video of this huge, I mean, those letters were 4-foot letters. You can't tell from down on the ground, but they're 4-foot letters. And it's such a rewarding project to see. I mean, anybody who orders a sign can come to our shop, look out the windows, and see it being made.
That's really something.
So neat. And yeah, from that CNC mill to our shears, our brakes, our welding center, our electrical, and also during the Vegas trip, we bought an Epson large format printer for vinyl. You'd probably think wraps or, large vinyl decals. So it's a 65-inch, and so I've been doing wall wraps. I did a wall wrap for Dina Peeler. We do little bitty stickers. We do banners in-house, and so it's so fun and so exciting just to see everything just run through production. We did have a digital printer before. You can tell I'm really, really excited about this.
No, it's so cool. I mean, you make things
I'm crazy.
You make things here in Victoria, like produce stuff. There's not tons of companies that do that. So to me, I'm all excited about it because it's real-time production, making things, creating things. A lot of places, they order something and bring it in. They don't actually have the tools, the equipment, or the skill set. And what I back up to is when you talked about your husband starting High Pro Audio, learning these skills and learning the neons. I love that you and your family have grown with this community and through this community and your skills and your business, and that you stayed in the community, but you also are creating things in-house in the community. I mean, just that progression, that is really spectacular. And that is something, so you should be excited because I love the idea that if I had a sign being made, I could go there and see you making it, right? It's like the chocolate candy places, you know, when you see the chocolates and candies being made, it's exciting.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about the signs. I'm like, oh, they're making the signs. This is neat. And then to see the video footage that you guys capture, make sure to go check that out because it's a whole process. When you look up at the advocate sign, I mean, that's crazy. I'm like, whoa, how did that get up there? And it'll answer that when you look at it.
Yeah, and it's actually a lot simpler than you think, but Richard has this attention to detail, and everything is just engineered at 110%, and like, I can brag about everything that we ever installed and built survived Hurricane Harvey.
That's amazing.
You know, I mean, and like I said, we've been in business since '95, and he's pretty innovative. He can fix anything, and if he can't, he has a network of people. John Paul is one that he'll call and say, "Hey, I need to bounce this off of you. What can we do here? What can we do to fix this?" So, Decatur is one of them as well. And Maggie, your chocolate cakes will always come in handy. And Bill Winlet is always like, hey, what can we do? Let's go to dinner. Let's have a drink. So yeah, Richard reaches out. If he doesn't know, he will reach out to somebody to get help as well. And that's another good thing about being in business in a small town is the networking and the connections you make. It's unbelievable. I mean, one year he got a burn, a very, very terrible burn on New Year's Eve from a firework. And we just so happened to be signing a big contract with a doctor's office for a sign. So we had the doctor's cell phone number, and we called him on New Year's Day to get fixed up from a burn. So, just the
Good
connections
with
that you make. I'm laughing about it now, but I mean, it was terrible.
So I want to know, what is your exact role with the company, and what do you consider your husband's role to be, and what is it like working with your spouse?
Oh, girl, that's 3 different questions.
It's a big one all wrapped in one.
Okay. My exact role in the company is to be the cool head. Like, Richard is kind of, Jerry, what would you say? He is very passionate, and he's OCD, and so everything has to be perfect. And I have to calm him down. So I'm like, I'm the cool. I'm like, okay, Richard, let's take a deep breath. Let's step back, look at this a little slower. But he's like, I want to fix this now. And I also, he answers the phone the whole time. He answers the phone. You will always have an owner at our shop, unless we're at lunch or vacation. We will answer the phone. You will get Richard or myself on the phone the very first phone call you make to us. Every time, too, because we're just a small business. And so we kind of work, I do graphic design as well as he does. He does a lot of the bigger structures, your lighted signs. He's a state licensed master electrician. So he does the lighted and the engineered aspects of everything. Our most recent installation was Dean and Peeler. If you've seen the Dean and Peeler, the big shield signs outside. And then Vela Farms right next to them.
Looks fabulous, by the way.
I love them. And so he and I both do graphic design. I like to focus on the smaller stuff. I love being able to do a makeover for your logo. I have people bring me their business cards or a little image of their logo that was made 20 years ago. I love doing makeovers. So I have a lot of samples of doing things like that. And I am a grammar nerd. I love spell checking, and I love making sure everything's lined up correctly on a page, all the just alignment, and oh yeah, that's my deal in the company. And I take care of a little of the bookkeeping. I don't like it very much, but I do that. And yeah, that's me. And how do I work with my husband? I can tell you, there is definitely a line drawn in the sand. It's not easy. It is so not easy. But we have learned throughout the years to separate duties, where, like I said, he does the big, giant fabrication stuff. I do the small stuff, business cards, T-shirts, whatever. If he takes a phone call and he starts working on a project, he continues with that project unless it's in my lane. And the same thing with me. If we try to cross over, it gets really nuts and a lot of fights happen. So it's not the easiest thing on earth, but it has worked for, like I said, I started in 2001 with him. So that is a long time to work and live with the man yes. I need a drink.
Well, and it seems like you guys found your niche and what works for you, right? And I think anytime you're working close with people, whether it be your husband or not, you got to get in that groove and kind of figure out, what works and what doesn't. And when you're talking about your business and making these things in-house, I love that, but I also love your commitment to answering the phones. I love that there's a human on the other side and that it's one of the owners, because that is very rare that you call a business and you have the owner actually answering the phone, much less a person nowadays. So I want to applaud you for that.
Thank you.
No, that is something rare, and it's something I really appreciate when I can get a hold of somebody. One of the biggest things I tell people is if you call people back or actually answer the phone, you're winning before most businesses. So when I think about all the things you've done, I know your dad does a lot of the ag and ranch stuff. Kind of, how did that impact you? And was he kind of a mentor to you? And do you have a mentor that you look up to?
Oh gosh, my dad, definitely.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
I mean, I run across people in the community too that say, we love your dad, he does great things. He's won 2 awards lately from the Soil and Water Conservation District, one in Victoria and one in DeWitt County. I was like, what? I had no idea that my dad was such a giver, because he was the dad that you feared. If you did something wrong, you knew Dad was going to find out and you were going to be punished. And when I grew up and started my own family and then started volunteering with him, I just discovered this different person, of course. I mean, you have to raise your kids with a firm hand sometimes, and I guess that's why we all turned out pretty good, right, Tracy? Dad's done amazing things for the community, and he's aging, but he's still putting in all these time and hours and this passion for the livestock show and the farm and ranch show. So, I can tell definitely he's been a mentor and he's been a leader for not only me, but a lot of people in this community.
No, and even in the meetings for the farm and ranch stuff, you can tell he is just so passionate. He really cares, and it's really neat to see both of them in a meeting together, to see how they're working together and both helping the community. It's really something, and it's just like the both back and forth, and you can see he has so much admiration for you and respect for what you say. And I love to see you two teaming up, and the fact that you're doing it to give back to the community and you have passion. It's really neat to be experience a part of that with you guys. And so now with having your own business, raising kids, doing all the things that you've done, looking back now, if you were to graduate college today, what would you recommend to somebody? What would be your advice to them?
I would recommend, after you have that background, that education, you have to have dreams and goals. I would say set your goals, and this is something I've told my own son, Colin, the oldest. James, the youngest, he was on a path. He knew what he was doing. Colin took a little bit more time. And I'm like, you have to set goals. You have to have a target that you're working for. You can't, I mean, I got lucky with the Forrest Gump. I was Forrest Gumping it along, but I still have goals. I still have deadlines. That's where you're going to reach your success, is to set those goals and to reach for them and work for them. That's what I can tell any college student right now. And it's totally different. I mean, I graduated from VC in '96. So this is a totally different world, totally different world. So I would say get involved with your community and stay up to date with technology. Definitely stay up to date with technology, which I'm blessed that my job forces me to do that. And I'm always calling John Paul as well. I'm like, John Paul, what is going on here? Help me. So, and then now I have a son who's an electrical engineer, computer science major, graduate, whatever he's doing for Intel. So I got him to call if I really, really need some help. And he's like, Mom, I really don't do that. He reads lines of code all day long. So, okay, James, thanks a lot. I'm glad you graduated from college.
I think that advice though resonates, right? Though have a goal that you're always moving and you're moving towards. And it doesn't matter, I think, even if it is back then when you graduated, that still does hold true. And once again, I love that you went to Victoria College. I think it's so fantastic.
Like I said, my parents didn't say, hey, go to A&M or go to UT or go to SMU or go. They didn't push us like that, you know? I think they were really, really busy, Tracy. They were really, really busy raising that girl right there. You got a bachelor's degree. Yes, ma'am. You're the... Oh, yeah, Sarah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. Anyway, so yeah, I mean... They did the best they could, and I think we're pretty good kids. We gave them a whole bunch of grandkids. I mean, hey.
They're winning. But I love that it gave you a pathway and your success story, and that's something really to look up to in this community, you know. And I think that you doing all of this, it really shines through your passion that you have for the community and your business. Like, I love when I saw her talking about making signs in-house. It's like she won the lottery. She's like, yes, but I get that. I get how special that is. And so talking about your business and the things you've done, what is something maybe that didn't work out quite right that was a failure? And what did you learn from it?
I got to learn a lot about people that you have grown and learned to trust or rely on and think that they're going to do good on their end can disappoint you. And with our projects and our contracts and things like that, we tend to, take it with a grain of salt, do our very, very best. But working with the people, that's a different story, I was taught to trust and give everybody your trust until they prove you otherwise. And I learned a lot of that, and a lot of that was in 2019, and when we had some big things going on, and our vendors didn't pull through, and we ruined some relationships. And so I know that can happen in any avenue, like businesses, like restaurants and, any kind of service industry. I know that can happen. But we work so closely with these people for weeks and weeks and weeks to months, and to have something really, really kind of fall apart because of a third party, that is what just, it kind of breaks your heart. But, we have the quality control. We put our heart and soul into it, and we do the best we can. And just like any industry, you can't please everybody. That's just, cliche. But, we're here and we're doing the best we can. 28 years in this business.
Woo! I think that deserves a big round of applause.
So we try our best. And, recently Richard got on the board for the Texas Zoo, so he's reached out to, I did my.
Love the zoo.
I have done a lot of community service throughout, when my kids were growing up and everything, but I am so glad to see him taking his time and his passion for animals. I love it. So, and he also serves on the Adjustment and Appeals Board for the city, so he's greatly involved with some of the city government. So we're not just, hiding in the background. We love this community, and we love the downtown energy. We love everything, and that's why we're here. We were born and raised here. We're going to stick around, and we want to make Victoria beautiful.
And thank you for that. And you are heavily involved, and it's so great. And I always love when you come up with ideas and you're like, hey, what do you think about that? Or what about this? And it shows that caring behind it, and that you guys are community minded, and you're not just people who have a business and you're like, okay, we just started this business. You're investing back. And when I talk to people about shopping locally or getting local businesses, this is exactly why. When you give your money, when you invest in a local business, that gives them the ability to invest back in your community. That is the support that somebody else can give to support back. And so you're not only helping, somebody with their light bill or their kids' braces in your community, whatever it may be at the time, you're also supporting somebody who can give back to your community, pays taxes in your community,
right,
who will be there for you if you have a flat. Who knows what happens? And
exactly.
So I tell these people, when you're shopping or when you're doing business with a company, really be mindful that these are individuals that live in this community with you, and that do these things for the future of kids, that have this foresight and thinking, hey, I want to improve their lives. Or like your husband with the zoo, helping with that. So it's all of these things that you give back, and I applaud that as business owners, but also everybody to be mindful about when you get a sign or you get a print or whatever they might do with you, that it's not just shopping with them, it pays back and pours back into the community.
Right. We love giving back, and we don't ever say no to any of the sponsorships or the donation asks that come through our door. We do not say no. We can trade in kind, or we donate monetarily. And, I have cheerleaders coming in the door. I have golf tournaments coming in the door. So we love, and being on the zoo board, we just love our town, and we're here for the long haul.
And so with loving Victoria and actually being here for the long haul, where would you like to see our city go? Kind of what are your hopes and dreams for Victoria, and what do you kind of see happening now? And within the next few years, where would you like to see it go?
I really hope everyone is pretty open-minded about the downtown renovation. I know it's going to take some getting used to. It's a big change. But there's so much energy and so many great things happening right now. I mean, I think we recovered pretty well from COVID and from all of the economic struggles that the rest of the world had. We are doing really good in Victoria. From a sign aspect, we're like, okay, let's keep going. And we've got this downtown renovation going on. We've got new businesses popping up like Murdoch's and all these restaurants we were talking about ahead of time. I think we are in a really good place in our little spot on the map. So in the future, I would just recommend everybody get involved, support your community. Don't be a Karen. Don't just gripe about everything. Do something positive. Don't just complain about, I want a water park. Just get in your car and drive an hour to Splashway. It's not that hard. And just be a positive light for this community. I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, and thank you for being a driving force of positivity, because this is what I love. I love when I hear someone repeatedly saying, I love the community, I love Victoria, right? I always tell people Victoria is like our baby. We're kind of all raising together. And if you're like, you're horrible, and then you throw it away, like, I would hope people don't talk to a baby like that. So we're all raising kind of Victoria together. And if we're nice and we say good things, then I think there's a ripple effect with that, right? And if you don't like something, well, let's talk about and figure out how we can make it better, how we can change it. Let's problem solve instead of just talking in circles about the same thing. And so if water park, okay, you got to drive an hour. Well, if you want one here, what does that look like? Let's chat about it, right? Let's figure out some real solutions, or let's all just rent a party bus and drive to the water park together and have fun. So
Exactly. There's always an answer. It may take a little bit to get there, but open the conversation and make it happen.
Well, and you are a shining example of Victoria is an amazing place that you can have an awesome life and you can have a pathway. I mean, starting at a business and Forrest Gumping it your way, that doesn't just happen everywhere, right? Your husband, high pro audio, to learning how to do neons, to now both of you are business owners in our community. So that is something about our city. You can become a business owner. You have a community that will support you. You do have people that will rally with you. And it's about getting involved and getting out in the community. That does really make a difference. And you can have the ability to do all of these amazing things. And I just love that you produce products in-house. I geek out over that too.
Come watch us one day.
We should all do a tour one day, schedule it with her.
Come over, watch the machines go. I know Decatur and Jerry and, Tracy just makes herself at home and goes into the back and grabs supplies. She's like, I'm taking this. So, yes. When my sisters were in college, they got to work at our shop. So
what was that like?
Oh, it was great. I mean, I had an employee that would come in on time.
That's awesome.
I had him have an employee that I could trust. It is very, very hard to hire people. It is very hard.
So what is that? What do you feel is a challenge with hiring people in the community, and what do you think could help with that?
Well, I think we messed up, just like I said earlier, when our teachers were pushing us college only, college only, college only. We need the trades, and I'm so glad that so many of the schools have put the trades back into their programs. Victoria College has an amazing welding center. I mean, Amy Mundy walked in just a few minutes ago, so I got to tour the...
Have you seen the virtual thing they have?
I have not.
That's so cool.
I got to walk through the welding school with Amy, and so I'm looking for a welder. I'm hiring. And it's just really hard. I think that we got away from that for a couple generations, and that is killing us right now. That is killing us. And, electricians are getting paid $150, $200 an hour if they know what they're doing. So where are all the electricians? Where are all the welders? Where are they? I mean, they're jumping on oil field work or construction, but I need somebody who, wants to come work 9 to 5 and go home to their family at night and not have to worry about weekends. And
well, now it's out there, so hopefully we'll find you somebody.
Find me somebody.
But I remember we've talked since a long time ago now about the trades and about how we want more of that. So I love that people in the community and entities like the college and the university, they're listening to that and they're hearing that and they're having people get those skills. I mean, just alone, like they have the shorter programs. It doesn't cost that much money to go, and they will help you. This is what I tell people, like they want you to go to school here. They want you to be part of it. And they have so many programs that are fantastic.
It's wonderful.
And it's really something special. When we talk about this community and what makes us unique and special, that is a huge part of it.
It is.
That we have those entities here that are providing those educational stepping stones so that they can have a job and work with you guys. And so I have been really excited to see the trades come back.
That is so great.
Been awesome.
It's so great. I mean, even at the high school level, and we're very fortunate that has turned around, because I have had I've seen it with my own eyes. we actually hired a fabricator, and he was a certified welder, but we had to introduce him to basic tools. You can tell that these kids were not introduced to basic tools growing up. You know, I mean, putting a decorative little thing on the wall, whatever. They didn't do anything with their hands. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Well, and I think it's about, as parents, right? That's part of the thing, is
Exactly.
instilling that, like, it can't be video games, iPad, iPhone 24/7. Kids still need to get off, use their hands, be involved, learn these skills, because they should know how to do these basic trades, these basic things, and to use their brains to problem solve outside of that. So I think we have to do good in the school systems, but I think it really does start at home, right? That's why your kids know those skills, because, well, they came to the
Yeah,
shop with you.
they
They
came to the
did
shop.
those things.
Yeah.
And that is something special about being an entrepreneur and having your own business, is that your kids learn those skills. I mean, my daughter the other day was like, "Oh, Mom, well, this is actually what I do. I've learned quite a bit from hearing your business conversations." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then she told me this whole business plan. I was like, "That's actually really good." But I love that they're thinking and problem solving. And even we were building a little, checkout kiosk in the toy store, and, their grandpa was up there helping my husband, but the kids got involved. They were helping
Good.
saw, and they
Good.
were helping screw drive, and there's a reason behind that. It's exactly what you're talking about. They need those skills. So I encourage parents, grandparents, mentors, whatever it may be, if you're in a child's life, to really give those skills. And if you're an adult and you want to learn that, get with somebody in the community. Let's
Yeah.
go to the college, go to the university, learn these skills, because there are a lot of jobs right now.
There
When
are.
people talk about jobs, I'm like, there's actually a lot of trade skill jobs right now that are looking for talented people.
Yeah.
And by talented, I mean people who know just how to use their hands and think with their brain and do something.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody in here knows about the workforce, you will know what we're talking about. We're probably preaching to the choir out here. So it's a sad situation, but we're looking up. We're going to try harder.
Well, we're improving, and we're lucky that we're in a community that listens, that we need more trade, and they're doing something about it. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to do this, and also thank you for all you are, all you do, and all you invest
Thank
back in
you.
our community. Thank you so much.
Here at Thrive Fuel, we build videos that showcase the best of your brand. One of the best marketing tools to showcase your above and beyond the competition is video production. Consumers prefer quick, easy to digest information, and that's exactly what we can create for you. At Thrive Fuel, we have the skill and experience to bring your video to life. Let us help you tell your story. When you thrive, we thrive.